Ferrari has one of the most famous reputations in all F1 history, dating back from the championship's start in 1950. But there's a huge level of prestige associated with not just being able to win with Ferrari, but become world champion with them too. And with Lewis Hamilton's recent announcement about moving to Ferrari, what better time to look at why F1 drivers love Ferrari so much?
Everybody's a Ferrari fan. Even if they're not, they are a Ferrari fan. Even if you go to the Mercedes guys, even if they say that, oh yeah, Mercedes is the greatest brand in the world, they are Ferrari fans.
The legacy of Ferrari begins with a man who, if you've not heard of, I'm not sure you should be watching motorsport YouTube. But that's Enzo Ferrari. Ferrari began as a racing team in 1929, affiliated with Alfa Romeo, who would supply them their cars for Grand Prix racing. To say the team was successful in this style of racing would be an understatement. Between 1929 and 1937, the team won 144 of 225 races, which is a ratio of 64%. And we complain about Red Bull dominance today. Ferrari took a break from Grand Prix racing until 1947, definitely not to do with anything the Germans were doing, where upon their return, they brought their first own Grand Prix car, the 125F, to the races. And its performance encouraged Enzo to continue building Grand Prix level cars, despite the cost. The thing is, the cost would always be a factor for Enzo. So in order to fund these Grand Prix endeavors, Ferrari began to also manufacture and sell road cars, starting with the 125S, a modified Fiat chassis with a 1.5-litre V12 powering its insides. When the Formula One World Championship officially started in 1950, Ferrari were reasonably competitive from the get-go. They achieved their first World Championship in 1952, where Alberto Ascari would win every race in the season, apart from the Indy 500, which was on the F1 calendar at the time. From there, the team would go on to take even more championship success, with Ascari, Fangio, Phil Hill, and John Surtees in 1964. The team would still obviously see race wins after that, but wouldn't be a title winner again until Niki Lauda took the team to 2 world championships in 1975 and 1977. Jody Scheckter would also win with Ferrari in 1979 when partnered with Gilles Villeneuve. At this point, you may start to see where some of Ferrari's incredible legacy comes from. The mountain of talented drivers who have been at the team and brought them glory are not ones forgotten in F1 history. Ascari, for example, brought so much joy to Italians to be an Italian driver racing for the Italian team. And any F1 fans know how fiercely loyal the Italians are to their beloved racing squad. As for having a champion like Fangio, who at the time held the record for most Formula One world titles at 5, still even a difficult feat in the modern era, again, that brings some prestige. And the same goes for Niki Lauda, who was considered a level above other drivers. One of the other drivers mentioned, however, Gilles Villeneuve, would contribute to possibly one of Ferrari's most tragic seasons in the sport. In 1982, Ferrari looked to have brought a top-level car, but with the Williams of Keke Rosberg hot on their heels, the Ferrari drivers would still have their work cut out for them. But by round 11, the French Grand Prix driver Didier Pironi was leading the championship despite an early tragedy at the Belgian Grand Prix, which had seen Ferrari driver Gilles Villeneuve, an extremely promising young talent at the time, tragically pass away in a crash with Jochen Mass. This was during a qualifying session at the Belgian Grand Prix. But the loss of one Ferrari driver was not the worst to come in the season. Despite Pironi's lead in the championship in France, at the next round in Hockenheim, things would not go well, and in another qualifying accident with tricky mixed conditions, Pironi would suffer a crash, severely injuring his legs, meaning he was out for the rest of the season. Thankfully, however, he did walk away with his life. This led to Keke Rosberg being able to claw back the title by just 5 points, and instead became the world champion. And this was the start of Ferrari suffering from a severe drought in success. From that 1979 Drivers' Championship all the way way to the year 2000, not a single driver was able to achieve the feat in between those years. Don't get me wrong, some came close, like Michael Alboreto in 1985, who was leading the World Championship until 5 mechanical DNFs in a row in the final 5 rounds cost him from seeing the trophy. I mean, seriously, in this time, driving for Ferrari was a curse. But again, that actually adds to why drivers want to go there, with the team becoming somewhat of a challenge to bring to the top and achieve that success with. So much so that even drivers considered greats couldn't do it, like Alan Prost in 1990 and 1991. Of course, someone would want to go to Ferrari and be the first driver to bring back that glory. And of course, they wouldn't be without another champion, which would come in the form of Michael Schumacher. Perhaps it's one of the greatest and most successful partnerships in F1 history, with the team winning every championship between 2000 and 2004, as Schumacher took the time between 1995 and 2000 to continually build the team up around him and see improvements, which led to him becoming not only one of the most famous people in Formula 1, but in sporting history. Again, that added to the immense legacy that Ferrari has. And now a challenge presents itself once again. Since Kimi Raikkonen in 2007, Ferrari hasn't seen a World Drivers' Championship. And again, that's certainly not for lack of trying. Alonso in 2010 and 2012 just barely missed out on being the World Drivers' Champion for them. But with the news of Hamilton's move to Ferrari, I've seen so many people questioning it, and they try and bring in logic and reason as to why or why not. And I'm not saying there wouldn't have been some logic in the move. And also, we've all seen that massive paycheck he's been offered. Maybe he was also upset with something happening at Mercedes. Maybe their car doesn't look up to scratch, but there will be a huge part of it that is to do with this legacy. To see a team that's achieved so much in Grand Prix racing success and is rooted well and truly in the history of racing and Formula 1, and to join the list of some of the most successful drivers ever in being not just world champion, but Ferrari world champion, well, that's not something anyone would pass up. We've literally gone through the entire history just there of what makes the team so special, and you'd be kidding yourself if you think that doesn't matter to any F1 driver. So subscribe if you would want to move to Ferrari, as we're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Goodbye!